Hi everyone, my name is Emiko and I'm from Designer Flower Center, and today I will be teaching you another bow. Today we're doing an Easter bow. We have 5 different ribbons for this bow. We have like this Easter egg, a nice green, bunny, and sheer purple, and a light pink with like a fuzzy detail on the edge. So I have my ribbon here. I'm gonna go over the materials with you. I have my ribbon. I have 2 different sizes of zip ties. I have a large zip tie and a smaller zip tie. I have chenille wire, and I have some scissors, and if you have a zip tie gun, it's great to get the zip tie really tight and it cuts really clean, but if you don't, you can use scissors as well. Alrighty. So I'm going to start with the base. I'm going to move this right here. I'm going to start with this base, and I'm just going to be working off the spool. And I'm going to estimate like an 18-inch tail, which is probably something around there. And today I'm going to show you how to do the twist method for making our loops. For the base, we're going to be doing 2 loops on each side, so a total of 4 loops. So what I like to do is, because I am right-handed, I hold everything in my left hand. And so I will be making the twists and turns with my right hand and holding everything else in my left hand. So I have about 18 inches in my hand, and I place it kind of like that was where I want to start the first loop. So when I start the first loop, I just make a little loop. And up to you with the size of the loop, but I'm gonna go something around there. And then when I do the first turn, or the first little twist to get into the second loop, the first one I do towards me, so towards my face, like that. So I'll do that one more time. I hold it in my hands, kind of like a little pincer, like little grab right there, and then I just twist the ribbon towards me and make a nice little twist right there. And then once I have it, I hold it with my other hand. I make the second loop, and the reason for the twisting is because a lot of the ribbon that we use has a pattern and print on one side and nothing on the other, and so you always want the pattern facing outside so everyone can see, and so that's why we do the twists. And so I'm gonna start the next loop, just like that, and I'm gonna now, I would say twist away from you. I would twist away. The first one was twist towards you, and now I'm gonna twist away from you so that the pattern is now on the outside again. And I'll show that to you one more time. Alright, so got my loop going, and then I have another little twist, and this one's gonna be towards me. It's basically every other direction, if that makes sense, depending on how many loops you do. This one will be towards me, and just like that. And then now we have our 4th loop, like that. And I always like have this like grab where I grab everything like this and just hold it like that. It's just easy for me to manipulate the ribbon and adjust it before I zip tie it down. So I have it like this, and sometimes I like to go over and grab it. That way I can kind of start placing the other tail. And again, because this tail has pattern, you want it facing the front. So sometimes you just have to twist it forward and just make sure it stays. And before I zip tie it down, I just kind of start to fiddle with it and adjust it just to get it where I want it to be, and just make sure my loops are the size that I want it to be at, which I think it's looking pretty good. So now I'm gonna grab a small zip tie, and I just have this little method where I use my palm to slide it in and use my fingers to push it up. and that way you can just start zip tying it. And then I turn the zip tie to the back and pull it forward. And before you pull it super tight, just make sure everything is where you want it to be and just adjust it, just so that way, you know, you can go back in real quick. And in case, like, sometimes when you zip tie it, the zip tie ends up like on one side and you have to like push it to the other side, to make sure that the loops are equal on both sides. So I like to just make sure before I tie it tight that it's all where I want it to be placed. So that's pretty good. So now I'm gonna tie it really tight and take my zip tie gun. Again, if you have scissors, it works just as good. And just clip it off, and we have our first bow, just like that. And then I'm just gonna cut it off the bolts, and I'm just gonna do same length tails. So I'm gonna just pull forward and cut it off. And here we go. We got our first layer done. So this one is the base, and now we're gonna move into our green color. This one will also be a 4 loop or 2 loop on each side. And so again, roughly around 18 inches is the tail length I want, but actually you can take the other bow and just kind of have it near you, and that way you can kind of just line up like just a little estimate of how much tail you need. And then again, we're just gonna go right in with making our loops. So again, hold it in your little L grip, hold it in and make your first loop. And then again, we're gonna twist towards our face. For the first one, it looks something like that. And then we are gonna twist or make our loop and twist away from our face. And then make our loop and twist towards our face. Make our loop. And when you're making like multiple loops, if it's not just a shoestring, you can make the like loops a little bit bigger the more you go back, just because it adds a little bit of dimension and depth, and they're not all the same size, and it makes it a little bit more free and varying. So yeah, so we have our 4 loops, and so I'm gonna just grab it with my hands just like that. I like to turn it upside down and then just adjust my tails. And this print is basically the same on both sides, which is nice, but still like to use the twist method just because it's fast and easy. So I just want to adjust like that, make sure it's all symmetrical on both sides, and I'm gonna grab my zip tie, and again use my palm, push it against it, use my fingers to push it up, and then zip tie it in. That trick works really well with super thick ribbon, I have found, because like I have small hands, and sometimes, you know, you have to hold the whole, you know, thick ribbon and zip tie it, so it just kind of helps me like guide the zip tie in the right place. So yeah, and then before I tie it tight, I just want to adjust it, make sure everything is right where I want it to be, like that. And then I'm gonna tie it tight and zip tie it off. Zip tie gun it off. All right, and then we have our next layer, and I'm gonna cut the ends. Just like that, and there we go. So we have another layer, and you can just, you know, pull it apart, separate it, make it fluffy, and get it ready for when you are gonna put it all together. It's just like that. All right, now we're gonna move into our next layer, which again is going to be 2 loops on each side. So this time I'll just go a little bit faster so you guys can kind of see how it's done again, and I can use the other tail to line up about 18 inches, I would say. So we have this bunny print, and the other side is just plain, so we want to make sure we have the pattern out facing. So again, we're going to take our loop, twist towards us, make our loop, twist away, make our loop, twist towards us, and make our loop. Just like that. And then this one is especially important to make sure that the tail on the other side, it automatically kind of flips to the back side, so we want to make sure that it's twisted and facing forward. So you just kind of turn the ribbon a little bit and just make sure it is forward facing before you zip tie it off. So, and then we are gonna make sure all our loops are nicely placed, and I'm gonna grab my zip tie and I'm gonna lock it in just like that. And we have our third layer. Cut off the end, cut the zip tie off. All right, so we have our next layer, like that. And now we're gonna go into this sheer lavender color. And this one is gonna be a 3-loop bow, which is a little tricky just because when you zip tie it off, it has to be kind of placed in a certain direction, so that way when you split the tails in the end, they end up on both sides. When you tie it off, as you'll see, they end up on the same side. So I'll show you. So I'm gonna have my tail just about like that. And you, again, go straight into making your loops, just 3 of them. So make 1 forward or towards your face, make your loop, and then, oops, and then away from your face. Again, this is sheer and it's the same on both sides, but the twisting kind of helps, makes really nice loops, and make sure it's like in a nice position. And then, so yeah, make the twist, and then you have your other loop, and then that is it. That's all you do. I like to hold it, just kind of adjust it, and see how the tails are ending on the same side. So here's my tail, and here's the one still on the bolt. They're gonna end up on the same side, and that's how you're gonna zip tie it. When you go to put it all together, you're gonna split the tails and zip tie it in between, so that way they're separated. And I'll show you that as well. So we just have 3 loops, just like that. I'll grab a zip tie and zip tie this in. I'm gonna adjust this, make 1. Sometimes when I make 3 loops, I like to vary the size and not make them all the same. One a little smaller, medium, whatever you like, just to kind of throw in a little change. Yeah, so there we go. And I'm gonna zip tie it in. And then the tails are on the same side, which is perfectly fine. So I'm gonna cut this off. Then I'm going to cut the tail. And we have our 3 loops, just like that. And then again, so now we can kind of split it apart, and then the tails are on each side, just like that. All right, so now we're gonna do the last layer, which is this nice pink fuzzy ribbon. Very cute. And I'm gonna take it, and it's just a single loop, super simple. Just take ribbon, again, like 18 inches, and just make your loop, just like that. Kind of hold it. I love to hold everything like in between my thumb and my finger. Just, I don't know, I have control over it better. Just like that. And then I just make a little twist towards you, and then just kind of place it where you want it, just like that. That's a good size loop. Just like that. So the back will kind of just look like just one single twist. And I like this. I like the size of this, so I'm gonna take my zip tie and tie it off. There we go. And pull it tight, and there's our one loop, just like that. The tails, and then I'm gonna cut this off and cut the tails. Now we are going to put it all together. I like to cut the ends at the end when it's all together, but you can cut it before. I just kind of, I like to do it after I put it together, just to see, like, do I want some to be like just a diagonal? Do I want some to be a V? I kind of like determine that when it's all together. So I grab all my ribbon, all my bows, and I grab the base first. And again, everything is gonna sit right in this little L. That's how I am able to put it all together and just kind of have a good grip on it, because you don't want it to shift when you're putting the final zip tie. So I have it sitting in my hand, kind of like resting on right here. And then I'm gonna grab the next layer and I'm just gonna pop it right on top. And I like to line up the zip ties, like line up each zip tie, because I can kind of see like that's the level where it should be. So I just kind of look and see, just are the zip ties lined up? Because when you go back after and just kind of move all the loops, it'll all be right in the center, but the loops can kind of go wherever. So then I line up the next one and grab that. So I have all control in my, just this little area right here in my hand, so I can hold it all and it helps keep it even. And then I grab the lavender, the 3-loop, and just make sure that the tails are split, and that's super simple. Just like that. I grab the last layer and just make sure again the tails are split on each side. Alright, just like that. Just like that. And then I'm gonna grab the large zip tie and I'm gonna slide it underneath my palm. And I always end up going on the left side of everything instead of like the right side, just to make sure that all the tails are split and it's holding in this little loop and everything. So I just like to go above and zip tie it in. And before you do it super tight, you want to make sure it's all lined up. Move it to the back. And I like to just kind of stick my finger in the back, kind of get it tight, so that way I can kind of just make sure everything's in place before I do anything more, just like that. And I take my chenille wire and I feed it through the back, and I just split it in half on each side, and then I pull it tighter. And again, I try as much as possible to make sure everything is where I want it to be before I pull it super tight. So I just kind of adjust and make sure everything's lined up, just like that. Make sure my base is all good, and then I'm gonna pull it all tight, pull it all together. Take my zip tie gun and cut it off. And we have our Easter bow. So I'm just gonna fluff it up, kind of pull it all apart and just kind of adjust it to where I want it to sit, and then I'll cut the ends off. Just kind of want to see how it's looking. You can fluff it up and make it look really pretty, just like that. So there we go. And now I'm just gonna cut the ends off, and I kind of just see what I want to do. And I like to do, for like sheer, I like to do a diagonal cut. just a simple little diagonal cut in each direction. And then for the ribbon more like this material, I like to do the V cut. So just fold it in half and make a nice cut up. Just like that. Do it on both sides. Just like that. And then I'll do a diagonal for the fuzzy ribbon. Just a nice diagonal. Just like that. And I think I'll do little V cuts for the green. And I think I'll do a V cut for the Easter egg print as well. You can do all the same, or you can do all different, or mix it up, whatever your preference is. Cut this just like that. And yeah, there you have it. Perfect for Easter. You can put it on wreaths, you can put it on mailboxes, you can put it on topiaries, you can put it on trees, you can put it on fireplaces, you can put it on staircase banisters, in the kitchen, wherever you want to put a nice little decorative bow. And this is how it turned out, just like that. And you can also kind of play with the tails and kind of make them kind of curly, or with some little texture to it, just if you want it to kind of look like it has a little bit of movement in it. You can make these curly by just kind of spiraling it around and just kind of holding it there, pulling it a little bit so it's not too tight, just like that. Do the same on the other side. Kind of pull it and let it go, and kind of do this little up and down motion right there. Yep, just like that. And kind of, yeah, just kind of add a little bit of little fun, little movement right there. And you can keep some straight, you can keep them all straight, you can do whatever you like. But yeah, so there we have it. We have our Easter bows. Very, very cute and fun and pastel and pretty.